Q&A, here we go. Is there a huge difference between using a barbell versus dumbbells for RDLs? RDLs being Romanian deadlifts. The big difference is with using a barbell is you have two hands that you can create stability against one another. It's going to be a little easier to engage your lats because you can use the force of pulling against the bar, which is moving in unison. Dumbbells, it's going to be more independent, so there's a level of stability that you are going to have to create. Also, grip's going to be a little bit more of a factor with dumbbells. The advantage to dumbbells is you're going to be able to pull it a little bit more behind you, or at least like in line with your legs, instead of having the bar stay in front of you. So it does make it a little potentially easier to elicit your hamstrings. Next question. A friend said I need to eat under 1,200 calories for a body recomposition. Is that aggressive? Context is everything here. I'm going to say if you are 100 pounds and you're looking to be in a calorie deficit to lean out, that might be sound advice, but for anybody else who's over 100 pounds, I'd say that's aggressive. Again, body recomposition too, you're going to make sure you're eating in a slight deficit and or maintenance, making sure you're getting a strength train and hitting adequate protein. So being in a huge deficit might not actually be what you're after. But at the end of the day, that seems like a deficit that's so big that it's most likely going to be unsustainable. But without the context of who this is for, it's kind of hard to say with complete certainty. Any tips for someone who grew up with all junk food and is trying to be healthier? Totally. I would say don't look at this as like an all or nothing. Just look at like what are simple things you can start to do to replace unhealthy habits with healthy habits. So something like that might be is every time you're going to have a soda, make sure you drink a cup of water first. Every time you're going to have dessert, ask if you're actually still hungry or if you need that. The other thing is look at volume that you're taking in. So maybe you might be able to take in a smaller amount of junk food or food that's less nutrient dense, and that'll just help to reshape that. Also, the other thing you can do is aim to have like your 1-2-3 method. 1 salad, 2 pieces of fruit, and 3 bottles of water. And just simply focusing on a healthy habit is going to help to slowly rid you of the unhealthy habits, just because you're going to run out of room to have all of this. So 2 different ways you can go at that is try to minimize the damage from the unhealthy habits while building in some small, so they're sustainable, healthy habits. And all of a sudden, over time, you begin shifting. Also, finding accountability too with that is helpful. So tell people what you're doing. Tell people that you live with what you're doing, and they'll help to hold you accountable, or ask a friend to do it with you. That makes a big difference as well. Thoughts on lifting in a fasted state. This got really, really big, but all the research is basically pointing at that there isn't a huge amount here to warrant training in a fasted state. Ultimately, I would say it's personal preference. If you feel good, like training first thing in the morning and not having food in your stomach and not having that lethargic feeling from eating a big meal, great. But I would say aim to, for the training side, eat to perform well, and then eat accordingly calorie-wise based on what your goals are. Training in a fasted state is not going to elicit any more fat loss or weight loss than anything else will. So I would eat for performance, and then use the rest of your day's calories and macros to basically hit your aesthetic goals. Where are we here? I love cutting a lot of calories and seeing results quickly, but then I go wildly off track. Any thoughts on how to minimize the falling off? This is something where, honestly, like rereading your question out loud, the answer may be fairly clear, but everybody loves seeing results quickly, but what's the end goal? Are you looking to lose weight super fast for a specific photo shoot event? Or is it to feel better and more confident in your skin forever? So if the answer is the latter, then I would say, why does this need to be accomplished tomorrow? Like, it's fun and it's invigorating and it's exciting, but it comes at such a cost that it's not sustainable. So my advice with this would absolutely be, see if you can slow it down. See if you can make the weight loss sustainable, so then it's something where it informs basically how you operate day in, day out, and it'll make it so much easier to sustain that over the long run. As a general rule, you want to lose no more basically than 1% of your body weight per week. Any more than that, it's probably unsustainable. Also, you can get into hormonal issues as well. Does having a six-pack mean that somebody is fit? Far from it. This is a huge misconception from people who are outside the training community. All a six-pack means is that you're lean. So you can be super skinny and be extremely unathletic in terms of able to physically do things and have a six-pack. Doesn't mean you're healthy, or doesn't mean you're fit. Also, there's some amazing athletes who carry a little bit more body fat because they perform better at higher body weights. So it's absolutely just an indication of leanness, but not overall health, not overall fitness, not at all. Can I have carbs on rest days? What is the best time to have carbs on training days? Yes, you can have carbs on rest days. Again, in terms of like aesthetics, it's going to be total calories that matters, not not total carbs, as long as your protein is high enough. And then in terms of when is the best time to have carbs on training days, again, carbs are going to help fuel and recover your training. So I would look at having them on mostly before and after your training sessions. Before is going to provide that stimulus that's going to give you the energy. And after is like as you break down your muscle glycogen from training, you want to replace that fairly quickly to allow you to start the recovery process as quickly as possible. On non-training days, you can just spread them out throughout the day, no problem. Here's a question we just covered, but what is a sustainable amount of weight loss per week? 0.5% of body weight to 1% of body weight would be a goal. So if somebody's 200 pounds, 0.5% would be 1 pound, and 1% would be 2 pounds per week, staying right in there. Obviously, as you get to losing more and more total weight over time and you have less to lose, that number is going to go down. But in the beginning, 0.5% to 1% is a great place to be. You use the acronyms EMOM often. What are they and do you like them? EMOMs, every minute on the minute. I love these because you can take these anywhere. So what it says is that you have a 60-second window to get a certain amount of work done. The remaining time in that window left over is yours to recover. So if I'm going to do, we'll say 10 pull-ups every minute on the minute for 10 minutes, that means I'm going to do 10 pull-ups. And if it takes me 20 seconds to do, I then have 40 seconds to recover. But as the 10 rounds go and fatigue creeps in, it might take me 50 seconds to do the 10 pull-ups, which means I only have 10 seconds to recover. So the nice thing is you can use this for strength stuff, and it basically keeps you moving throughout the session. You can use this for conditioning, where it's like I won't need to hit a certain amount of calories on a machine or a certain number of double unders or something along those lines where I'm moving quickly. And it basically just builds some structure. The thing that I like about them is the time domain remains the same. So if you're training with other people, I might say that I'm going to row 10 calories in a minute period, where a friend of mine might be able to beast out 20 calories. We're going to have the same stimulus based on our own fitness level, and we'll be able to train side by side, but it's within the same time domains. Unlike if you're doing a workout for time or to completion or something like that, where somebody who's more fit is going to crank it out and then be twiddling their thumbs waiting for somebody slower. Similar to like if you go for a hike and there's different levels, the person catches up to the less fit person catches up to the fit group, and all of a sudden they've now been recovering, so they take off, and the poor person who's more deconditioned gets zero recovery and has a harder time, and therefore doesn't enjoy the process as much, potentially. So EMOMs are a nice way to mitigate that, and you can take them anywhere that you want to go. So EMOM, every minute on the minute. Last question. What is reverse dieting? Reverse dieting is essentially a very fancy way of saying you're slowly increasing your calories. So as you are in a diet or a cut, you're slowly decreasing the amount of calories that you're taking in, which puts you in a calorie deficit, which encourages fat loss. Reverse diet is basically doing the exact same thing the other way. So you slowly, incrementally increase your calories. And the reason that people do this is, say you start at 200 pounds and you do a calorie deficit for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, and you get down to 190. So you've lost 10 pounds. and you're eating at a certain amount of calories, you want to slowly up your calories so you can eat as much food as possible while keeping your new 190 pounds. If you go too high, you'll start gaining weight. If you go too low and you're going to stay there, you could be eating more, which means you could be performing better. And also, when you get into your next cut, you have a bigger range of food that you're able to cut from, which just makes the whole process that much more enjoyable. So reverse dieting is basically a way of slowly, incrementally increasing your calories over time to find how many calories you can really eat without affecting your new lower body weight. So that's reverse dieting. Just a fancy way of saying you're increasing your calories slowly. So that's it for this Q&A. I love doing these with you. Keep questions coming. Anything that you guys want to talk about, personal, could be training, nutrition, lifestyle, whatevs, dream Christmas ideas, you tell me, we'll cover it. So thank you guys.